This is Rabbi Chernitsky, Director of Chabad of Newfoundland, the People's Rabbi. Pleasure to be with you again tonight. So we're going to be continuing where we started last week. We had started a talk by the Lubavitcher Rebbe. You have it here on the screen in Hebrew. I was reading and translating. So we started off with a question about the mitzvah to give the half shekel. We said, what's so special about the mitzvah of giving the half shekel? Excuse me. Excuse me. It's not COVID, it's some allergies. What's so special the mitzvah of giving the half shekel if there's an independent mitzvah of giving tzedaka, of giving money to the poor, helping somebody when he's in need? So what's so special about the mitzvah of tzedaka? We quoted a teaching, right, that said that this is what lifts up the glory of the Jewish people, the mitzvah of the half shekel. So we answered partially. I'm going to open up here. We answered partially that there's a concept that just like what God showed Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, he showed him a fiery coin when he told him about the mitzvah. We say this mitzvah is unique because it's supposed to be done with a fire, with a zest, with a passion. That's what we said in the previous class. Now the Rebbe is going to delve deeper into this. We're going to be starting here, Gimel. We're going to be starting this next subsection. Give me 1 second. All right, let's go. ויובן והקטים תכן העניין במטבע של אש שמשקלו מחצי השקל. Let me share on the Zoom also 1 second. Okay. So again, now we'll understand this by first speaking about this concept of the coin of fire, that whose weight has to be half shekel. Okay, מטבע של אש, a coin of fire. This is the union of two things which are literally opposite. Eish ein lo tzura mesuyemes. Yeah, right? Because fire doesn't have a specific form. Kol advarim hagashmim yesh lahem tzura mesuyemes. Excuse me. All physical things have a certain form, a certain shape. Chutz me'yesh, except for fire. Even though fire is also something physical that you could see with your fleshly eyes, it doesn't have a fixed shape. Right? As it's burning, the flame is moving up and down. This doesn't have a fixed shape, a fixed form. Which is not so when it comes to a coin. Offer a kesef the dust of silver, etc. Whatever the coin is made out of. Besides the fact that the coin does have a shape, a form, not just that it has a specific fixed shape, but also its value, its importance is dependent on the shape. Yeah, and also here in the brackets of the Bible services, also according to Jewish law, right? Assuming that coins were made all the same size, what changed was just the shape that didn't have a different number on it, etc. That would change the value. And further, that also the coin of fire had to have a weight, right? Mishkal machatzer shekel, which is, what's that weight? Half shekel, the weight of half a shekel. She said, which emphasizes even more how it's opposite to fire. Okay? Eish ein le mishkal, because fire has no weight. Adrabah, to the contrary. Eish mechulak meshagim alei soidos, fire is different. They don't have the three elements. Offer, mayim v'ruach, where right, earth, water, and wind. But in this aspect, all the other elements, they descend below. mitzad koiv them, because they have a natural weight to them, and therefore yesh lahem mishkal. Therefore, they have an actual weight that you could weigh. Shmachriya kafam misnaim, and this is what tips the scales. Be'afilu ruach, and in the wind, she'oile v'yored, that goes up and down. Nishar ve'ikar b'mekayim al kadroretz, stays mainly. This is quoting from Maimonides, that his expression is that even the wind, it remains mainly upon the surface of the earth. Al-Kadr. Yeah? So fire is unique, that doesn't have this weight pulling it down, right? Fire has, by nature, goes upwards. Mashe Enkein, which is not the case, Eish, by fire, it's not just that fire doesn't have a weight, as we said before, Ella, rather, she'oile, that it goes up, menistalek, it goes upwards. Ad kedekach, she'tzarech nehishtadus minchedes, to the point they need a special effort, alidei pesila v'kiyoytzev, etc., a wick, etc., sheha'esh, that the fire, yishoer, should remain, yelo v'malei yoches lamato. So you need a special effort to keep the fire here below, not just that it doesn't have a weight, but we need things to keep the fire down here. This is the concept of the fire going upwards. Because the fire is always naturally drawn to, so to speak, go out from its state of being and to go upwards. With the true concept of the fire, the element of fire, is not to remain as it is in its state of being, ella, rather, adraba, to the contrary, that says the concept of fire is it should leave its state of existence and become one with its source, with the general element of fire, which we're told is higher on the earth. Even though the fire does remain below on that which is holding it like a wick, etc., but it doesn't just ascend upwards. Nevertheless, so the point of the Rebbe is that, yes, even if you have the fire down through a wick, etc., you see that the flame ascends upwards, wanting to become one with its source, with the general element of fire, and lose its independent existence, so to speak. And this fits with the first thing we said about fire, that it has no shape. Yeah. So it doesn't remain as it is in its state of being. It's always trying to go higher and leave its previous state. To the point that it becomes one with its source, which is higher. Okay. So we could say that the concept of fire in this world, that the fire has no shape and it goes upwards. Yeah. Which is exactly what happened by the fiery coin that God was showing Moses. So the fire represents the concept of something that is beyond the shapes and limitations in the spiritual realms. With the on the other hand, God showed a coin. So this is where you have the two opposites coming together, right? We said the fire has no shape, has no weight, wants to ascend upwards, leave its state of independent existence, become one with its source. But at the same time, it was still a coin made of metal. A coin has a certain shape, a form, and a weight. Yeah. So here you have two opposites. Matveya shel eish is a coin, but it's made out of fire. which is the union of something that's physical with something that's spiritual. Okay? The Rebbe will continue spelling it out for us in case it wasn't clear. So I'll take a quick drink. Okay. El Pize, given a chidush, so now we can understand what's the novelty of God, Hashem, telling Moses that the Jews should give a half shekel as an atonement for tzedakah. That its effect is to lift up the glory of the Jewish people. Tisa is Israel. The Torah was given, which of course is this week's parsha, right? Parsha's Yisro. Because what made the giving of the special is there was a fiery coin, a coin of fire. There's many ways to give tzedakah. Tzedakah that we give because a good attribute, they're naturally we're kind, or even an animal that's naturally kind. And because it makes sense in your head. This is how the world could live in peace and harmony, which we mentioned in the last class at the beginning of the talk. That's what a person gives tzedakah. Could be because it's implanted in him, it's just natural, which animals have as well. Maybe it makes sense in our minds, because this is the way that the world could continue to exist in peace and harmony when we help people that have less. Another most comes to Jewish people, all the most comes to the Jewish people that, as we said before, the story with King David and the Gibeonim, the Gibeonites, who refused to forgive Shaul and King Saul. So King David said the Gibeonites are not allowed to join the Jewish people, and the Jewish people have three identifying signs. They are Rachamonim, Gombli Chasadim Aveshonim. They are merciful. They do acts of kindness, and they have a sense of shame. Okay, so Eifen Ayla said now it's an even greater level, a greater way to give tzedakah. Giving tzedakah not because it's in our nature, giving tzedakah not because it makes sense, giving tzedakah because God said so in the Torah. Which is infinitely greater than giving tzedakah, which comes because it's part of our nature, or because it makes sense to us. Because Malcolm, nevertheless, still in this level of giving tzedakah, there's a certain shape which implies medida b'agbal, a certain limit. Okay, לדוגמה, for example, הוא מקיים המצווה לצדקה בשביל שכר. You could be doing the mitzvah, the commandment of tzedakah, to get a reward. ובזה גופה, and this itself, השכר גם, to get a physical reward in this world, a material reward. כדי שיחיה בני וכיוצא בזה, right, as the Talmud says, that a person could give tzedakah and make a condition, give tzedakah so that my son should live from his sickness, God forbid, shouldn't know of such things. But a person could make such a condition, say that this is why he's giving it. Or he's even expecting a spiritual reward from giving it tzedakah. And he will reap that reward in the world to come, after life in this world, etc. Could be even higher level of giving. Doing the mitzvah not in condition to get a reward. Or even not in order to get a reward, but this itself is his intent. Because he wants to do the mitzvah just in acceptance of the heavenly yoke. Because that's what Hashem said. So there is still a mix of his ego, because he wants to do it just because God said. So the same thing, but in other words. Why is he giving? He's doing it because he makes a calculation that in his mind that he's naturally a Kabbalah's Olnik. He's naturally a person who That's what needs to be done. That's what he's told. And he wants and enjoys fulfilling the will of God. Because it's in his nature to fulfill the will of God. Because the nature of the godly soul is to connect to its source, which is godliness. Even though this is, of course, infinitely greater than serving God for some ulterior motive, like on condition to receive a reward, the way we said above. At the end of the day, all these types of giving are connected with a reason. Biglal is that with a because. Like in this case, because he's doing because he wants to do the will of Hashem. And therefore, the fulfillment of the mitzvah is connected with a certain shape and limitation. Yeah, that's measured according to the reason and cause for which he wants to do the mitzvah. Even though it's a very special reason, though it's a very holy reason, that will always limit his action, his act of giving. Let's see how much we have. Okay, so we'll finish up and then we'll finish the class. תכלס השלמות עבודת של יהודי באמס אי אפשר לומר אפילו לשון תכלס השלמות כי זה גוף המועד שקשר המציאות תויל המציאות של שלמות גופנים. So the ultimate completion in the service of God of a Jew, and I can't even say the words tachlis hashleimus, the ultimate completion, because this implies there's a certain limit. Yeah. This the Rambam writes, they should do your service of God not because of anything, not because you're scared of bad things that might happen otherwise, but not to get the good things, the reward. Or even to merit to the world to come. Though it sounds very lofty. The Talmud describes there the righteous are sitting with their crowns on their heads, enjoying the rays of the Shekhinah, the divine presence. But the person wants it, why? Because of the nature of the godly soul that wants to enjoy the divine rays in the world to come. Even though it sounds very lofty, very special and holy, still it's all connected with his nature. Of the godly soul, and a calculation in the mind of the godly soul, the first connected to a certain shape, which means a limitation. It's not the ultimate way, the highest way to do it. Ella, but then it's rather how does the service of God need to be? I'm gonna take a drink. How does he have to be? Here. But the Rambam finishes off. Doing the truth because it's truth. Not because of a reason. Not even because of a reason that's not because of a reason, which is what we were describing before. You're doing it because of an intrinsic connection with God. Like similar, like it says in the liturgy, like the commandment of your will. Yeah. בפירושו יש מקיים מצווה כפי שקרא ויחד הקדוש ברוך הוא מקיימה בלי שום ציר ונטייה והגבלה וכולו חס ושלום. So like it says, we say in the Musaf prayers on Shabbos, on Shabbat, k'mitzvahs reitzeinecha, like the mitzvahs of your will, so to speak, that you could do the mitzvah as the same way that God keeps it, so to speak, which means without any ulterior motive, in the purest form. אבל אין זה הטעם על עבודה זו מצד זה שהוא קשר עם הקדוש ברוך הוא. אלא שזה בא בדרך ממילא בלי שום מצווה בהרגש ודבר כזה כמן. But it has to come not because you're making a conscious effort, because once you make the conscious effort, that defeats the purpose. Once you make a conscious effort, this is why I'm doing it, then there's certain limitation, right? Our feelings, our mind take away from that purity, that sincerity in the intent. Once you're doing it on purpose, the highest way is when naturally we're doing it because we're intrinsically connected and nothing else. Okay, so we'll stop here for today. Hope you enjoyed the class. We'll continue Godula next week, so stay tuned. Next Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Newfoundland time. I'm Rabbi Chernitzky, the rector of Chabad of Newfoundland, the People's Rabbi. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, please leave us a comment. If you like the video, click on like. And if you didn't, let us know why. You could send us an email, rabbinewfoundland@gmail.com. Have a good evening. All the best.